All right. We want to welcome you all to our Q&A session with Jeff Register, who is our new chairman of Board of Elections. We are glad to have Jeff. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our first question for Jeff. And these are just few little warm-up questions to get to know Jeff a little bit better outside of his political role. So
Okay.
Jeff, what do you like to do for fun?
Well, me and my wife are avid campers. We've purchased a fifth wheel that we do not live in full time, but that we love to go camping, and we enjoy that very much. We're dog owners. We got 3 dogs and a cat, and we weren't blessed with children, so that's our joy is our animals.
All right. Nice to hear that about you.
Yeah.
So I was looking at your Facebook page and I saw that your mom recently turned 84 and she looks amazing, by the way. So tell us how your mother shaped who you are today.
I agree with you. I do think she looks amazing for 84, and I'm blessed. Me and my brother are blessed that she's still very healthy. She can drive. She goes to Whiteville and picks up her groceries and her medicine. She doesn't travel outside of that range very much, but we're very, very blessed. And I was blessed to have 2 outstanding parents. I got a solid foundation behind me from those 2. They taught me a lot. Of course, they raised me in a Christian home, and they taught me the value of being honest and being truthful and being respectful to others. We don't all have the same opinions, but they taught me to respect how others thought and felt.
All right. Very good.
You
So
going
now
back to
we're
work?
gonna go. I'm sorry, what was that? All right, so if everyone can mute themselves on the call, now we're going to go ahead and get into our political questions. So
Okay.
the very first question I have, let me pull up your photo of your very first day in office. Let me get out of this here. All right. So tell us how your very first day in office went. And that is your lovely wife standing next to you right there. For those of us.
It is. It is. I'm very fortunate, aren't I? I'll tell you what. That picture right there, I was very nervous. I'm not gonna lie about that. And also I was excited. I'm thinking, you always have a question. Am I capable of doing this? And there's a lot of mixed emotions right there. But I was there because I want to make a difference, and that's the reason why I'm standing there. I wanted to make a difference in Columbus County.
All right. Now, this next photo that I'm going to show everyone, for folks that don't know, when you're sworn into office, you start right then and there. So tell us how that felt to start right then and there, that very first night.
Yeah, you're kind of thrown into the pit. It's kind of trial by fire and stuff. So, I try to prepare as well as I can in advance for anything that I do. And so, I grew up in high school in the FFA class. One of the things that we studied and were taught was Robert's Rules of Order. And I kind of refreshed myself on some of the rules and the parliamentary procedure to follow. So, I was just getting started, and so the first meeting I was, a little bit intimidated by what was going on, but I got over that, and it's been going much better since then.
All right, thank you. So now, after your first month, how are you feeling?
More confident. I am, and I feel like now, you know what, Jeff, you can do this job, and I been very pleased with how we've started out. Anything with dealing with government, I guess that's been my biggest frustration, is that in the business world, things move quicker. In government, things move at a much slower pace. You want to, let's go, 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 go. And there's, when you're dealing with, government and that type of thing, it just moves slower. And so that's, taking some, me getting adjusted to, is to, instead of being let's go, 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 I've had to go slow, slow, slow.
All right, thank you. And for any of our young ones watching, if you notice that Jeff and Miss Featherston, who we interviewed the very first time, you notice that both of them mentioned that they were a little nervous their first night in office. And just want to let you guys know that that's a normal feeling to have. Even the older ones feel normal. I mean, they feel nervous their first night being in office. So it's an okay feeling to have, but don't give up. And certainly if you want to run for office, do it.
Absolutely, Latoya.
So the next question I have for you, we saw that you've been doing wonderful things already in your role as chairman of the Board of Elections, such as reducing the number of monthly meetings from twice a month to once a month. So tell us about your thought process behind this.
Well, one of the things that, since I've become chairman, is I've been visiting the websites of other county board of elections. You always can, learn from what others are doing. You may find things that they're doing that, you don't agree with or don't want to follow or don't want to implement. But one of the, every county board of elections website that I visited, every one of them only had one regularly scheduled meeting per month. Of course, during the election process of counting absentees and verifying the election results, we will have to meet more often than that. But I don't see any reason why that we should meet twice a month, especially during this time of the election season. I think the second meeting that I was involved in, I think the meeting lasted 20 minutes. And, I looked at it and, this is not a waste of time, but if we can consolidate these meetings, I think it would maybe get more of the public interested in coming to the meetings, because who wants to drive from Tabor City and or Lake Waccamaw or Hackney Delco to a board of election meeting that lasts 15, 20 minutes? I mean, nobody's going to want to do that. So, my thought process was that if everybody else can do it, certainly that we can do it here in Columbus County. And there's always, the option that if, something comes up, we can call, a special meeting, with 48 hours notice. I don't think it's a hindrance. I think it's actually been an improvement. And, it did save the county a little bit of money, not a whole lot of money, but, every dollar counts. Is a dollar that we may can use to do something else in the elections.
That's right. And we know in rural Columbus County that every dollar certainly counts.
It does. It's unfortunate that we have such a, low tax base. Our tax rate is high, compared to other counties. And so, it does make it tough. I understand the position of the county commissioners in, to stretch dollars, and they have to use their dollars wisely. But, having said that, the election process is probably, to me, one of the most important things that need to be funded to do the job correctly.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. Next question. Can you explain the voter purging process in Columbus County?
Oh yeah, the voting purging process is no different in Columbus County than it is throughout the state. There are certain biennial list maintenance processes that are mandated by the federal and state law, and we have to do those things. I guess the process and mainly is that if someone has not presented to vote during two consecutive presidential election cycles, then they are moved to inactive status. Okay. And when they are moved to inactive status, they are sent a letter or postcard that is forwardable, so that, you know, we need to verify that you're still in Columbus County and that you're still eligible to vote. If that is not sent back to us, that's when they are actually placed in the inactive status. So that doesn't mean that when the next election comes up, that if they go to vote, they are still eligible to vote when they get to the polling place, all that they'll be asked a question. They'll be asked to confirm their address. Now, when they get there to confirm their address, in the electronic ballot system, the state will mandate, whether the state mandates it has to meet certain criteria, that it will either say that all you need to do is ask them what the address, what their, confirm their address, or in some situations they may be asked to show an identification or something with their address on it. I would say that most of the time that, when the requirement for verification of the address is maybe for older voters like myself, that when I registered to vote when I was 18, I don't even know if they ask you what your driver's license number was, your security number, just fill out a little card and send it in. So, and maybe if someone's driver's license has expired, that may be a trigger to prove that, prove residency. So if so they've been moved to inactive status, and they will stay in inactive status for two more presidential elections. Okay. And if they have not presented to vote after that second, so that's really 4 presidential elections that we've gotten to this point now. They go from active to inactive, and now we're at this point where they haven't voted in 4 presidential elections. They're actually removed from the roll, and they would have to, a person would have to re-register as if they were a brand new voter. And so, that's the reason why I did it. And that's one of the things that, when I was working in the polls, one of the biggest things, people didn't have one of the biggest headaches for poll workers is, in my opinion, is, people turning up inactive, the wrong addresses and stuff. And I think that's, one of the things that I want to, let's try and improve is, voter education, where that people will, instead of going to the poll when you got this problem, why not try and get them, hey, everybody needs to check their voter registration to see what their status is. Make sure, where you're supposed to go to vote. Make sure that that your record is correct, that, you're in the right precinct, or you're in the right congressional district or senatorial district. But that's one of the things that I think that we need to push in this county, is to make people aware. All it takes is a phone call to the county office. They can call the state office, or it's for people that are have some computer skills. It's quite easy to go on the North Carolina State Board of Education website to look up their voter status.
All right, thank you for that answer. And for my Democratic ladies that are on the Zoom with us, sounds like we got a lot of work to do. So,
and look, Dr. Beatty, that's one thing also is that that's something that both the Democrat and Republican Party can do to to help with voter registration in the county is to can make the voting process go easier if they stress to their to the voters in their political party the need to check this and stay up to date. Also, from a party perspective, it would behoove either party that if they've got people dropping off the list, that's a list that the parties can work to get those voters back on the roll and get them active. One of the things that in the last election, in November of 22, I think everybody's aware that we had a hotly contested sheriff's race. And the unfortunate thing is that only 52% of the voters showed up to vote. And that was I don't know how anybody that lives in Columbus County wasn't aware of that particular race. And a lot of people had I'm sure almost everybody had an opinion on it, but only 52% showed up to express their opinion by voting. So I'm disappointed in that. But the last presidential election, we had, I think, 71% to show up and vote.
All right, thank you. The next question. So the attendance for the Board of Election meetings, we know they can be hit or miss. How do we encourage folks to attend these meetings?
Well, I think the best way that we can do that is to get people, make people aware when the meetings are, and to use the press and social media to spread the word when the meetings are. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, I am actually the moderator for my church. And so when we have conference, I'm finding that the same situation applies to the Board of Election meetings. Just like in church conferences, people don't usually show up unless there's a controversial issue that gets their attention. So I don't want the people to come because we have controversial issues. I think that we've just got to express to people the importance of staying engaged. My thought process with most things, even in my business world, I'm an insurance agent. If you can address issues ahead of time, it's much easier than trying to address issues after the election. That's just common sense. Go ahead and this attitude of, well, I'll wait and see if my person wins. That's we've got to be in the forefront ahead of that issue instead of trying to play catch up with it.
Thank you. And that leads into the next question when you say, don't come to the BOE unless there's a controversial topic. So we know one topic right now that's going on that actually affects me. I'm from Bolton, live in Bolton, and the hot topic right now is whether or not to move our voting location from the fire department to the town hall. So one fun fact about myself is that I actually never voted in Bolton due to moving away to college and all that type of stuff. And then I actually can't vote in the town elections and things like that. But long story short, I have family members and friends that love voting in Bolton, and they love voting at the fire department. I don't know what it is about it, but they love it there. They do not want it moved either to the town hall. So do you think this hot topic will ever be laid to rest? Why do they keep focusing so much on moving Bolton voting site?
Well, I'm just going to say this: as far as I'm concerned, the issue is settled. The law and statutes are clear about the availability of the Board of Elections to use a publicly funded building. And if it's not that we don't want to accommodate the fire department, or we don't want to put out the voters, the biggest thing to me is creating a precedent. If we set a precedent of just allowing the publicly funded building that we're using to just come and say, well, I don't want y'all there and you want y'all to use our building anymore, then what ground will we have to say that we we need to use that building, you know, they can come back and say, well, you let so-and-so do it. Why can't we do it? You know, and I'll be honest, you know, in my travels around the state, around prior to getting involved with the election process, you know, I'd be traveling around the state on election day, and one of the major voting polling places in every county throughout the state are the fire departments. And, you know, so yeah, I don't know. And I'll be honest, I have reached out to the chief of the fire department down there to try and alleviate some of his concerns. Well, really find out what his you know, his biggest concerns are, and see if, you know, that we can address some of his concerns so that it would be that he would be more that they would be more receptive to us using the fire department. You know, I don't really see, you know, what makes the problems in using the Bolton Fire Department unique from any other fire department that's being used throughout the state. I think we lost our leader.
Let me check and see if Latoya's on.
Okay.
She lost video and sound.
Okay.
Okay. Well, while she's trying to regain video and sound, does anyone have a question for Mr. Register?
Yeah, that'd be fine. Who was that speaking? I'm sorry, I didn't see. I can't tell from my end who it was that was speaking. Who was that?
Oh, hi, I'm Frankie Boone.
Hey, Miss Boone. Glad to
I'm
have
from
you.
the west end of the county.
Okay.
I logged on a little late.
Right, good. That's not a problem. I can't see you on my end. So there's, yeah, no, she's not back yet. But yeah, if anybody has any questions while we're waiting on Dr. Beatty to get back, I'll be glad to answer them if I can. Thank everyone for participating. I'm glad that you, and that's what we need in Columbus County, is more participation, people to get involved.
Yes. And I don't know, I was coming in when you were talking about the 52% of registered voters voting. And I just don't know what we can really do to get people motivated to
Yeah,
vote.
yeah, that's what I was, you know, saying. You know, we had a race, you know, a race that was highly contested, you know, for the sheriff's office, and almost everybody in the county knew about it and had an opinion on it, but only 52% of the people chose to come out and express their opinion by voting. I don't know if they were put off by all the negativity in that campaign, but you know, I wish that, and that's, you know, that's something that's not, that negativity is not only something that's in Columbus County and campaign process, election process, but it's throughout the state and the nation. I mean, we all see that. It's become like a bloodbath every time you have an election. People just smear at each other.
Yes, it is. It's really bad. It's really.
It is.
It's really bad. But what are you looking forward to for the next 2? Because we have an election in 2 years. So what are you? And that's going to be a presidential election. So what are you looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward to you know, get more people involved. You know, there are still people to be registered, and get more people involved in the election process than we've been having, and keep the people more informed. There's a lot of work to do in those areas. You know, we still have. I was speaking with Director Collins the other day, and there are vacant slots to be poll workers. So if anyone on here knows of anyone that would be willing, to serve, as a poll worker or a judge, in any way in the election process, we would love to get their name. We could reach out to them, or you can have them to reach out to us.
Okay. Monisha is on right now, Monisha Brooks, and she is a judge.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
when they I went around. I don't know
Yeah.
all the time, but it's my home precinct.
Oh, okay. Okay. I've been a poll worker. That's not something I like doing. You can't leave at all. So
It's a
yeah,
hard day's
that's
work.
yeah, that's not my thing. But I could, driving around, going from pole to pole, that's kind of more my thing. But working in the polls, not my thing.
Yeah.
But it is good to do your civic duties. Oh, Monisha fell off too. I think we're falling off one by one.
One by one. Yeah.
Oh, she's back on.
We'll just sit right here and talk, man.
Yes, but I am, and I was a candidate in the last election, so it
Yes,
was
ma'am.
very disappointing to see. It was just the whole race, everything, the whole election was just disappointing. But the apathy of voters was very, very, very disappointing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. I and I think that's one of the reasons I didn't seek this position that I've got right now. Mr. Thurman talked to me about it, and I told him that I'd be willing to serve. But we've got to have people step up, and they're willing to work. I tell you, we've got the Democratic Party has has a blessing in Dr. Beatty. She is a go-getter, and very fortunate to have her.
Very fortunate. She needs an army behind her.
Yes, she does.
Yeah,
And
she's a one-woman army, but we need to really rally behind her and support her. And yeah, we really, really, really do. I'm an independent voter, but I'm thinking about changing my party affiliation back to Democratic.
Right.
Back to Democrat, just to help push the agenda. And just help get votes out and things like that. I do think you can lose a little leverage if you are independent right now. It's not enough momentum to keep it going. So you really need to we really need to get out here and just make people aware of what's going on. But I think because everybody is so removed from the real world, that when you're saying it's not just about your local officials, it's about state officials, laws are being made, federal laws are being made, and all these laws are being made, and they're going to affect you. They're going to affect your children's children.
Right.
So you need to see what kind of world you want to live in, and you have to be and the most active part you can take is voting.
Yeah, and one of the things in taking this position, it does kind of limit or put a rein on me expressing my personal political opinion. And it's best that for transparency, that I try to remain neutral on all issues that come up. So that's a little bit different for me, not to let my affiliation with a political party affect what I'm doing with the Board of Elections. The law is black and white. It's not red or blue. And
Right.
so as far as the individual the individual issues, I have to stay clear of those too, and so that I can remain impartial.
Right.
That's
But right,
anybody
but
that
we
have
just
an
want
opinion.
people to vote. We want people to
Absolutely.
vote the way they believe, but just vote, make your vote count.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We want everybody to vote. Independent, Democrat, Republican, Green, it doesn't matter.
Right. Now Latoya is back. She said she's back with sound.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Latoya there?
Well, she said she was back with sound.
Yeah. I know that's frustrating.
Yes.
She's very frustrated.
Let me see what she wants us to do.
Chairman Register, this is Nonisha Brooks from Nakana to ask a quick question. How
Go
do
ahead,
you
Nonisha.
foresee pushing the process of democracy forward? Based on the last election, it's more or less, it seems to me that people vote they vote a person, not a position, so to speak. Your position should be that I'm for everyone to do the right thing, or that's what I would think, that kind of thing. How is it that you're going to help promote at the Board of Elections level, say, the whole process of democracy?
Well, we're constrained with, let me cut that off. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're still here. Yes,
Okay.
yes, I can.
We're kind of constrained about, well, we're absolutely constrained about, how people vote. That's entirely up to them. Our role at the Board of Elections is to make sure that fair elections are held, not to favor, one party or the other. We can't, we can't, push people to vote a certain way, or they have the privilege and the right to vote how they choose, Manisha. And I'd like to think that we lived in a perfect world where everybody examined each candidate for the merit of that particular candidate, but unfortunately it doesn't seem that that's the way it is now. It seems like there's a lot of block voting going on. Did that answer your question, Manisha?
It does. And I think Dr. Beatty did post in the chat her last two questions. She said you can review the process for the municipal elections or answer these last two questions. What is it that you hope to accomplish in your first year of office? And then the advice that you would like to give the next treasurer of Columbus County Democratic Party.
Yeah, well, and some of the things that I've already talked about, I want to increase the voter participation. I just don't think that 52% voter turnout is acceptable. There she is.
There I am, y'all. I wish y'all would have seen me in here. Oh.
There she is.
I was unplugging stuff, saying a prayer. Ran in the face.
That's okay. We were just getting started on the what do you want to accomplish during your first year in office, and I started with of course the voter turnout. We want to voter participation. To me, 52% is something that definitely we can improve on in the non-presidential year elections. I looked at our federal, and I think that in the state, the voter turnout was 75%, and we were at 71%. So, on the federal level, I was pleased with that. But, we're getting ready to have municipal elections. You can expect the voter turnout to be very, very low, especially if there's not any contested races, and a lot of the municipal things there's not. So voter turnout, all of us can work on voter registration and voter education. Is something that we're trying to get people to be proactive in checking on their voter registration. That's some of the things that I want to do. Are you still there, Latoya? I think she's left us again. Is anybody else here?
It's probably that Bolton, it's probably that Bolton Wi-Fi.
Yeah. I think she was actually at work.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, because she was telling, I think before the meeting started, we were talking and she said that. I think one of the other questions was that she wanted I've been serving as there she is. We were getting ready to move on without you. We were getting ready to go on to my advice for people that are interested in the treasurer position.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, when Mr. Thurman approached me and the party approached me about being the treasurer, if I knew what I was getting into, I would have ran. And but that was not because of how hard the job is. It was because there were several years of unfiled campaign finance reports that needed to be updated. In fact, the Democratic Party was considered inactive by the State Board of Elections because of a lack of campaign finance reports being filed. This was prior to Mr. Thurman taking the helm. I think that he had to actually reorganize the party to get it back going, but we were still in inactive status. So there was quite a bit of work involved in getting all those campaign finance reports filed, especially since Mr. Thurman didn't have any records and I didn't have any records. And I was in constant communication with the State Board of Elections about, how to do that. And they told me, they told me if you could just get the copies of the bank statements and fill out the reports as best you could and submit them. And they were willing to accept that. And so they changed our status back to active. So now, the job of taking the treasurer is not that hard. I'll be honest with you. It's, there's not a lot of activity on the party level. I think that it probably takes me 30 minutes to do a campaign finance report during the off season like this. And during an odd year, you only have to file 2 reports. You have to, excuse me. You have to file one mid-year, and then you have to file a year end, and then in a even number year. Of course, that's when the big elections are. You have to file 4 times a year, and it's not that hard. It really is not. It's just just entering the information and it's just adding and subtracting, really, and figuring out where to put things. And I hope that someone would be willing to step forward, because it's not that difficult a job. I'm still available to, of course, the State Board of Elections. A lot of times people are intimidated to call places like the State Board of Elections, especially in the situation I was in. We were inactive, and I didn't know what these people were put me through, but they were very, very helpful. And and the our local Board of Elections is available to help. And that's one thing also in some of the stuff that we've talked about, is that I want to get people to try and help to increase. I think that there is a lack of confidence in our local Board of Elections, whether it be the board or the staff. But I think that hopefully we're improving that, and we won't be the voters in the county to use us, because that's what the Board of Election staff is there for, to be available to be used. And we want to make sure that we have a good working process. After all, the Board of Elections is a customer service office. They have a job to do to run the election, but also they're in customer service to serve the voters. So, and I don't know if there's anybody on here that'd be willing to step up, but I'm sure there's somebody out there that y'all know. So, somebody will do it, and I hope that somebody will be willing to step up. And I will be available. I can't fill it out, but I can answer questions, for people someone that steps up.
All right. Now you guys can hear me?
Yes.
All right, my gracious. So I thank you so much, Jeff, for your patience. And I thank you all. I can hear you guys in the background as I'm scrambling around the office trying to plug things back over again. So I like how you guys took over the meeting and you asked the questions. And thank you, Jeff, for your time. Sorry for the technical difficulty.
Not a problem.
Does anybody have any final questions before we wrap this up with Jeff and let him get back to his duties as chairman of the Board of Elections?
Latoya, this is Barbara Powell. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Because I'm driving. But I had a quick question for Jeff. Thank you, Jeff, for accepting that position.
Thank you, Ms. Powell.
My question is, because I've worked as a Democratic judge, et cetera, is there going to be a better system for reporting the results, not for the elections, but for the precincts to bring in all of the equipment and all of that and have it taken up and us dismissed at a feasible time, at a better time than what it's been? It's been total confusion for each time that I have participated as a judge.
Yeah, Ms. Powell, that is something that we are working on. We're looking at trying to get a process where that all of the equipment would be delivered and set up by the Board of Elections, and also that it would be picked up after the election, the next day, by the Board of Elections. And
Oh, good.
and so the only thing that it's really chaos. It's been chaos, in my opinion. Yeah, on the voter night, you got especially, and I'm not degrading anyone, but a lot of that equipment's heavy, and
Yes, it is.
and I was working a precinct where I was the only male there, and not to downgrade anybody, but that was a lot of work for me to try and get all that. They called me one night. I was the last precinct to get in, and they were like, "Tell me where you at?" And I said, "I'm like packing up all this stuff."
Yeah, and we had no men at ours.
Yeah,
and it is heavy. It is very heavy.
So what we're trying to do is have a delivery process and a pickup process for the equipment, and so that when the election is over that night, you can want to get to a system where you can just run your tabulation on the ballot box, the computer ballot box. Close the computers and take that thumb drive and head on out to bring your paperwork with you, and just come on out, and so we can get that wrapped up without having to worry about dragging all that equipment back to the Board of Elections election night.
Okay, great. Okay, well, thank you so much for receiving my question, and I might just lose you all, but I'm gonna try. I'll be listening as much as I can.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks again.
Thank you for the question.
All right, well, that's all we have for Jeff. Thank you, Jeff, again for your time. And the next Board of Elections meeting is?
It's the second Monday night in May, whatever that is. I tell you what, I live by a calendar now. I don't know about you or anyone else, but I have so many things to keep up with. I just stick it in my calendar when it tells me to be somewhere. I head that way. I'd like to thank you and everyone else, Dr. Beatty, especially the Democrat women of Columbus County, for all the hard work that you're doing. And you women are setting an example that us men need to follow. Y'all are doing a lot of good work, and wish you much success. And maybe we get some of us men involved as well.
That's right. Well, thank you all. And we will conclude this session before my technology messes up again. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you, everyone. It was nice visiting with you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.